All right, everyone. So now what we're going to do is we have that video 3B and 3A. 3A is the Windows version, but the 3B where you just talk about some basic command line navigation. It's pretty easy, pretty breezy. Recommend you go watch it as a reinforcement for just kind of how to navigate the command line and move around in a directory structure when you're on the command line. So let's talk about three other operations that we're going to do quite a bit. And these are things that you do already, but you tend to do it right these days with the graphical user interface. So you notice I got my Macintosh hard drive icon turned on over here. Remember, you go get that by going to Finder Settings, and you can turn that on or off over there. Excuse me, for our line of work, I really do recommend that you turn that on, right? We're in IT. We work in IT infrastructure. We don't abstract things. We don't, right? We need to understand how this stuff works, okay? We have graduated right to the realm of power computing, right, where we need to be very knowledgeable about how things work, right? It's okay for the average everyday user to not have any idea where a phone stores its files, right? We work in IT though, we should know, okay? So anyway, so when you open this up, right, you get your view into where your files and folders are on the system, right? Again, for probably a great many of you, all you've ever done is have left every file here in your downloads folder. Again, that's not a good strategy. It won't be a good strategy going forward. One thing that I do is that when I open up a command line prompt, or excuse me, a graphical user interface like this, is I like having some of the quick links over here. So for example, if I go down into where my JAXburg, where my home folder is at, I will add that to my favorites over here. And you see that I already have it over there. So I have like my home folder, and then I have this development folder where I do lots of stuff. I just drag that out there as well. So I just always have some of my quickly access stuff over here, just so that it's easy to get to. And that way, no matter how I launch a Finder, wherever it comes from, I can always, like, for example, go directly to my home directory. All right. So let's think about this. So what we're going to do is let's open up these two repository directories that I cloned from GitHub. Notice that I have the 4031 module introduction, 4031 module 2 lab 2. Let's say that I have this file right here, the list of users.html. And what I want to do is we're going to talk about moving something and then copying a file. So typically, if I'm using the graphical user interface to do this, this is typically the view that I'm going to do, right? So for example, if I want to move that file like up and over to this folder, right? It's just, to me, it's just easier to go do it like this, right? To click on the list icon here, and then have your folders listed out as a list. You open them up with the little thingy on the side. You grab that file and then you move it, and notice that it moved it, right? So it moved that HTML file from here, from there, okay? Moved it from there to here, and I could, of course, move it back if I wanted to, right? Now, what if I wanted to copy this file, right? So in other words, copy it from here. So that this file is both here and here. Well, typically how I do it is I do a copy, right? And then I go down to this directory, highlight this directory, and then paste that item, and now I have a copy of it, right? It's here and here. So that difference between moving a file and, say, copying a file. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this for right now, right? And then empty my trash. All right, good deal. So how would I do that on the command line? All right, well, let's take a look at how we can do that, right? So, and then we'll make it bigger. So hopefully you can see it. All right, so I landed at the tilde, right? The tilde means I'm in my home directory, right? So where my directory is for my user under the users folder. I do an ls, and there are my two directories, module 1 introduction, which is this one here, module 2 lab 2, which is this one here. So let's cd into the module 1 introduction directory, and then do an ls. All right, so here is that HTML file, right, that I want to do that same thing that I did over here, but only using the command line. Let's move it first. So I'm going to use the move command, mv, right? The file that I want to, notice I'm auto-completing there. Notice I'm not typing in everything. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it easier. So what I do is I type in a couple of letters and then hit the tab key, right? And so the Mac sees that, okay, I have this file that's list of users and this file that's list of users, but here it starts to change, right? So I can say H, but again, I don't need to type out HTML. I can actually just do this, users.h tab, right? And now I have it unique enough that it's just going to auto-complete, right? So that makes things go much faster, right? I don't need to sit here and go list of, right? No, don't do that. Don't ever. If I see you doing that, I'm going to scold you and slap your hands, right? So LIS, tab, H, tab, there we got that. Now, where is this going, right? So we have the file here. I want it to go up and over to that directory. So right now I'm down in here. So let's actually switch the views, right? So I'm down in this folder right now. I want to get that file up and over to this folder, right? So how would I do that on the command line? So move, right? Because I'm currently in the source directory, the module 1 introduction, right? I CD'd change directories down into it, right? So that's where this file is at. Again, that's just for sake of argument. This ls, here's the file, right? So now I'm down in that directory, users, jaxburg, module 1 introduction, right? Look at it again. Let's clear the screen. So we got it. So I'm going to move list of users, HTML. I want to go up, right? In that previous video, we talked about the dot operator. So we're going to go up a directory layer over to inet module 2. Notice how I did autocomplete there. So I typed in a couple of characters. So I did in tab 2 tab, right? And so I'm going to move the file from here to there. Notice the file is no longer here, and now it is indeed in module 2 lab 2. There's the file. They even popped up in the GUI as well. So if I go up and then over into the module 2 directory, indeed there it is. I moved it. Okay, I moved it. All right, let's move it back. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take the HTML file and I'm going to move it back to module 1 introduction, right? Now notice on the command line, again, it's gone, right? Again, they're just two views to the exact same data. So if I move a file out of a folder out here, it's no longer going to be in the corresponding directory here. It's just different ways to view the information, all right? Now, what if I wanted to copy that file? So let's CD down into the module, oopsies, oh, wrong there, fat finger, that one there, into the introduction, right? LS. Here is to look at the file, so there is that. So let's copy it. In this case, we're going to use CP. So we're going to copy the HTML file up and over to the module 2 directory, right? And again, the copy command is always from to. So I'm going to take this file and copy it over to this directory. Hit return. And boom, knows how it did it. Now I've got HTML in both of those, right? HTML, HTML, okay? Now let's say for some reason I didn't want this file. So here I am in, let's go actually up and over to the other directory, because right now I'm here. Let's go over to the other directory. So from here, I could say up and over to that other directory, right? LS. So here I am in module 2, lab 2. Here's that HTML file. Let's remove it, RM, right? RM is short for remove, and HTML, and boom, I removed it. Boom. And notice when you remove things on the command line, use that RM command, right? Notice that nothing showed up in my trash. When you remove something on the command line, it's gone, right? It's a little different paradigm than in the graphical user interface. When you remove something via the command line, it doesn't go into the trash where you could potentially pull it back out. You're just kind of done. It's gone. So you want to be somewhat cautious of it, right? All right. So now what's another way that we could do this? So let's go back up a layer to where I'm at my home directory, right? So I'm at my home directory, okay? So let's switch the views here where I'm, right? I can look, so I'm here at jaxburg, and I'm looking down at these two folders, right? So same thing here. I am currently in my users jaxburg directory. If I do an ls, right, here are those two things. So if I knew, for example, that I had a file in this directory that I wanted to copy over to this directory, right, I could do this from this level as well. I just got to specify the path of where this stuff is at. So I could say copy inet 4031 module introduction, right, list of users.html, right? So I'm going to copy, I'm going to look, remember the command line's always looking down. So copy, looking down this directory, this file, and then do what? Copy it into inet module 2, right? Because again, I'm looking down at both of them. I don't need to go up, right? Because I'm currently at the spot. I'm right here, so I can look down at both of those. So I'm just saying look down in this directory, grab that file, and copy it into that directory because I'm looking at them at the same level in the file system. And then boom, then I could also ls it directly from here too. When you do ls, it's going to ls the contents of the directory that you're in. If you specify something, right, like this, ls, no, don't ls where I'm at, ls that directory. Indeed, we see that we did copy the HTML file over there, okay? So we're just scratching the surface here. So there's all sorts of stuff you could do, right? For example, you could do this. So I'm currently in my home directory. Let's create a new directory, mkdir, and I'm gonna say mkdir example1, right? So I've created a new directory. I have this new directory called example1. Notice it showed up out here. It's empty on the GUI as well. It's the same thing as going in and doing a new folder, right? So I could do stuff like this. I could say, all right, so let's actually go down into the 4031 module 1 directory because I don't remember what's in there. Oh, yeah. I want to copy all of these files. So copy all of these files up and over, right, to my example 1 directory, right? So copy everything up and over to example 1. Boom, and there they got copied, okay? So play around with that. And again, just again, you know, you might be saying right now, I don't see what the advantage is. I don't know why I would ever do it this way, right? And again, up until this point in your life, that could absolutely be true, right? My wife has never launched a terminal on her Mac. She doesn't need to, right? But she's also a big business nonprofit executive, right? If Apple is doing their job, she should never have to open up her command line prompt, right? In my line of work, right, that don't fly. I mean, there's just no way, right? You have to use the command line prompt. And that will become more and more apparent as we get along in the semester. All right. So again, because we work in IT. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.